to my show, Finding Joy in the Mundane.
Welcome to my show, Finding Joy in the Mundane. I am your host, Aya Nichols, and this is my husband, Sam Nichols. Everyone give him a warm welcome.
Thank you. You can hold the applause.
It's only me, so it's okay.
Okay.
Well, I wanted to have him on here for this week's topic because it talks about what wives and husbands should be like together, and that is what Ephesians 5 is about. So I wanted to be able to talk about this with someone that I've learned this from, so that you guys can meet him and just, get a sense of who we are. So welcome, Samuel.
Thanks. I would just like to preface too, we've been married for 6 years.
Yep.
We are by no means experts on this topic.
No. Well, we have gone through a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
In the 6 years we have been married, and we did not expect it. And now we have a beautiful 2-year-old that sleeps with us and keeps us awake at night. Mostly him, because I need my sleep. So we wanted to talk about Ephesians 5 and all the verses that go along with it, because I feel like it's so controversial and has been misused so much to interpret in ways that have been mishandled for women. And in the sense to where it has driven a wedge between a husband and a wife, because we don't necessarily know how to interact with each other because of these scriptures. But I wanted to highlight what they're actually saying, so that way maybe we can find a little bit more freedom and love in it, because I feel like that's what Sam and I found. I mean, we did meet in seminary, so we were studying these scriptures when we met, and we had to have these debates because we weren't the same. He's a Southern man. I mean,
Hey, y'all.
Exactly. Where were you from, Samuel?
I'm from a small town in Rogersville, called Rogersville, in Tennessee. Almost dead in between Knoxville and Bristol.
And I'm from Beirut, Lebanon, which is the bordering country right next to Israel.
Not Lebanon, Tennessee.
I have been to Lebanon, Tennessee.
Home of the Cracker Barrel.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that being from 2 different countries, 2 different cultures has definitely been interesting, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what was it like when you first met me?
Well, we met the first weekend I was in seminary. You had been there for like a month already, I think.
Yeah.
The place we lived, a bunch of us just decided to get together. We were all in the same building complex, and we had a movie night, like a watch a movie and meet night. I was the only person watching the movie.
He really was.
I was trying to talk to me.
I was.
But I was not having it because I was really into Space Jam, which is the movie we were watching.
That you've already watched. So it's not like it's a new movie that he's never watched before getting into it.
First conundrum at seminary was, how can 20 people sit around and watch Space Jam and not pay attention and play a card game? So,
which is how we met.
Yeah.
So my version of the story is going to this Space Jam movie night and having Sam walk in the door for the first time and me thinking, wow, he's cute. So I wanted to talk to him, and I sat right next to him, and I just asked him like simple questions like, so why are you going to seminary? What are you into? And his words were, for ministry, golf. And that's it.
I'm a simple man.
You really are. But like, that was it. So I literally looked at him. I'm like, okay, he's either just really not interested or weird. Either way, I'm not doing it. So I kind of just kept my distance and like interacted with everyone else. And somehow I was the one playing the card games, and I would watch him and he would look at me, and I didn't know if he was looking at me because I was weird or because he was interested, genuinely. So whenever all of us spontaneously decided to go to the beach the next day, which, by the way, I don't do spontaneity.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm Lebanese. I don't do that. So me agreeing to this was already like overboard. And I agreed to be in the same truck as him because, I wanted to get to know him a little bit, maybe in a different setting.
She had a plan.
Hardly a plan. We got to Wilmington, and I really wanted to spend some time with him, just like, getting to know you, getting to answer some of my questions. And I had this image in my head of what it would be like. And this is how it actually turned out to be like. So we're riding in the same car, and I'm in front and someone else is driving. Sam is in back. So I'm not really interacting. He's saying nothing to me. All of a sudden, it's time to pick music. And what did I pick, Samuel?
Kanye.
And in seminary, in a Southern Baptist seminary, Gold Digger is not the song you would want to pick usually. But I did, and he liked it. He was the only one that liked it. So I guess I made an impression then. Anywho, we keep going into the day and I'm plotting all of these different events. Like, okay, we're gonna sit on the beach together, we're gonna talk, share some stories, it's gonna be great. Well, the minute we get to the beach, Sam decides to go off with his guy friends to go watch or see the Titanic.
It was not that. No, we went and saw a battleship.
The Titanic. You just weren't with me. And I went to the beach with my friends. So I'm sitting here at the beach watching the waves and wondering why he doesn't want to be around me. And then I was like, well, I'm starting to give up. So finally, I looked to my friend Megan and I tell her, okay, I'm going to sit in the back seat on the way back just so I can give this man his last shot, like to talk to me, to have a genuine conversation, because I have given him every chance under the sun to have a conversation with me, but he hasn't. So I sat next to him on the way back and I start sharing my story, just going through foster care, getting adopted, the whole 9 yards. And everyone else had a question. Like the minute I start sharing my story, everyone will have a question to say, except for this man.
I was listening.
He was listening. But to me, I was like, wow, he really doesn't care that much, to where like I say I'm homeless and he doesn't even ask why.
I did ask one question.
You did ask one question, and that one question was,
if you were a crown, what crown would you be?
And I replied, if I was a crown, I would be some sort of diamond ruby combination, maybe silver. I didn't even know how to respond to this question, but I'm just trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. My friend stops me in the middle of me talking and says, Aya, I think he meant crayon.
I did.
I looked at him and I said, what kind of crayon I would be?
Yeah, what color?
And I said, well, what kind of color would you be?
And I said macaroni and cheese. It's a crown color. You can fact check me.
He said macaroni and cheese, and I fell in love.
Yeah.
That was it. Well, that same day, I invited him to go whitewater rafting with my friends. And then the next day, it didn't work out. So I just said, why don't we just go grab some shaved ice instead?
Yes. Pelicans, snowballs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, because this was supposed to be a group thing, not a date.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to make sure you didn't know it was a date. So I picked him up.
Mm-hmm.
I paid for the pelicans. Mm-hmm. And I dropped him off.
And walked me to the door.
And walked you to the door. Because I didn't want him to think it was a date. And at the very, very end, what did you say?
Thank you for being such a gentleman.
And that's when I realized he genuinely thought this was a date this entire time. And when I realized I genuinely did just take this man on a date. Mm-hmm. So that was a Sunday. On Monday, we realized that we have a class together, Old Testament, and we start, messaging each other back and forth. And I would send him things, but he would only send me like memes in response. Like, that's it.
They were on point, though.
They were, but like no word for 2 days.
A picture's worth 1,000 words.
2 days, no word. I thought, at this point, he's either blowing me off or he genuinely doesn't have words. Either way, on the 3rd day, I end up getting sick because of my eating disorder and going to the hospital. Mm-hmm. After that, I ended up being admitted and needing to go to Raleigh for some sort of procedure. And my roommate at that time was with me. It's the middle of the night and she had to go to work. And she was like, well, there's no one else that can be with you. And me in my drugged up mind was just like, I want Sam. And she goes, Sam doesn't know you. He's met you like 4 days ago. He doesn't want to be here at 4 a.m. I'm like, I want Sam. She was like, okay. I guess she felt bad for me, but she went back to our apartment and found Sam and brought him to me. He came straight away and he stayed with me for the next 3 days while I got my procedures. He never left. He would stay by my side and read me scriptures from the Bible. And I would think, oh, wow, what a wonderful, godly man reading me the Bible while I'm sick. And in reality, what were you reading, Samuel?
The classic Old Testament stories about bears eating children and people dying in fiery pits to this medicated, sickly woman.
And I was like, oh, he's so romantic. He's reading scripture. I didn't care what kind of scripture it was as long as it was. And, he stuck by my side that entire time. And after I got out, we decided to start dating. Mm-hmm. And I'll give this up to you because, he started dating me.
Mm-hmm. I was unlike any girl I had dated before. I guess we just kind of did the normal thing, or at least what I thought was normal, because she hadn't really dated before. So we went to the occasional movie, ate a lot of food together. She hosted a lot of parties at her apartment. I'm not a huge fan of parties. especially when there's like 35 people in a 2-bedroom apartment. It's not my jam. So I would just kind of disappear.
He would.
And then I guess really there was the group that we hung out with at first. It kind of got smaller and subdivided. So like there were specific people that we would hang out with more often than not. And then after a couple of months, we came to this point of like, what is this? I guess.
Yeah.
Like because I think at that point I was not sure, but I think I was all in, and she felt like because I was unsure, I just did not want to go on with it. So eventually we ended up taking a break, not like Ross and Rachel. We just took it. We took a couple nights where we just kind of just prayed and sought God to try to figure out what He wanted from this. And then we came back together and we were like, okay, let's pursue it. And then again, a couple weeks after that, Aya tells me that she loves me, and I essentially say thank you.
Christ loves all of us.
That may have been what I said.
He said, I love you the way Christ loves all of us, all of his children.
Which is a hardcore pickup line, FYI.
Yeah, but you literally told me you would love me as much as a child.
Kids are awesome.
Anywho.
And then there was one night where we kind of got, I wouldn't say, it wasn't heated. It was emotional. It was an emotional ride home from somewhere. I don't remember where we were coming. Maybe just a drive. We used to drive and listen to Kanye through Raleigh. But there was a night and she was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. And that's the night that I told her I loved her. And I think, is that the same night? No, our first kiss was before that, right?
Yeah. It was before all of that happened.
Yeah, but
that was the first night that you told me you loved me.
Yeah, I knew I did. I wanted a good time, and I felt like the best time was the night time I felt like she was going to break up with me. So
the night I was going to break up with him.
That sounds shallow, but...
Well, I mean, to me, it would have felt forced.
Yeah.
Because to me, like, I had told you I loved you since my birthday in October.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, when you said it was December.
Yeah.
So it was a whole 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And even before that, whenever you and I took that break to decide if we wanted to be together, like, I always wanted to be with you, but it always just felt like you were holding back some parts of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you came to me and you said that you wanted to break up, that you didn't even want to like continue this, that you were just done because you just didn't think it was right. And I don't know what courage that I had back then to say, well, you need to speak to the Holy Spirit about this before you do it. Mm-hmm. I had never done that before, but I did. I said, okay, we need to take the weekend and pray specifically about our relationship and whether God wants us to be in it or not. And if at the end of it we feel like He doesn't, then I will let it go and call it a day. Mm-hmm. So the whole weekend, I'm a mess. My roommate's sitting there with me crying every night, and I'm praying that this man would love me and that he would be the right man, because I didn't want just a man to love me. Like, I get that, to where I get the point of wanting just someone to love you. But I felt something so close to Sam that I wanted him to love me and to know that he loved me. So if that wasn't the case, I wanted that to be known. Early in our relationship, this was just like a month in. And it may sound crazy to anyone else who's dating now, but when it came to my heart, it's too fragile to take more time. And I respect that he knew that. And he knew that he needed to do whatever he needed to do that weekend to pray and figure that out. And you know, when I came back, I had never been through a breakup. Sam is my first boyfriend. So at this point, this weekend, I'm going through what a breakup would have been. And that was enough for me to realize how detrimenting it is for someone to give their heart to someone and then it not turn out the way you hoped. And I'm sitting here crying the whole day, all day. I couldn't go back to Pelicans, like nothing.
She went to Pelicans a lot.
I did, but then I couldn't go to it because that was our place. So I'm just like, wow, this is what people who go through a breakup feel like. So I am grateful that I went through that. And when we did get back together, we had that real conversation where, okay, we spoke about what we thought the Lord told us. And to me, I thought the Lord said that He was the one. Like, He really was. And to be patient. But I didn't know what that meant. I still don't know what patience is. So like back then, seriously, I didn't know what that meant. But to Him, when we met back, He said that I wasn't the girl that he thought he was going to end up with. And that was shocking to him. And I think that threw him off. Mm-hmm. Because again, he's been raised in Rogersville, Tennessee, East Tennessee, Southern Baptist, and then this girl from Beirut, Lebanon, who was raised a Muslim, just comes into his life and is like, love me. And he didn't know if he was the one that can. So he needed that time, and he came back, and then he told me while we were driving, because we do like taking our drives, and he said, you just weren't the girl I thought I was going to end up with. And he said, I wasn't the girl that he thought he was going to end up with, that this isn't what he imagined his entire life until now. So it was really hard for him to accept that he was in love with me and that wanted me, because accepting me as his girlfriend and now his wife would change his entire world. So back then, I understood. I realized that, like, he probably thought he would end up with some sort of Southern belle, and that they would end up growing up in Rogersville together and having a child. We were just so different.
Mm-hmm.
More different than anyone would have guessed. And anyone who would have seen us together would have said, and the people who are watching that have seen us together, they were shocked because of how different we were.
Yeah, you can probably pick up on that now.
I mean,
yeah.
Yet we still love each other so much, because I think even though differences sometimes bring people apart, when it came to us, our differences brought us together because we appreciated each other's differences. Like, I love more than anything that he's a Southern man, and that he's a man that's grown up in a small town and has seen smaller things, because he appreciates values more than I do. And he likes the cows and he likes nature. And it's the weirdest thing. It's just every part of him I was attracted to, because it felt like that's what I was missing. But what do you think you got from me?
Excitement.
Yeah.
Someone who could talk for me.
Yeah. Did you want that?
I mean, yeah, honestly. Like, I think...
because I don't want to talk for you if you don't want that, if that makes sense.
No, I mean, I think for somebody that's not afraid to say what we think, because I'm pretty passive, right? If somebody brings me the wrong food at a restaurant, I'm going to eat it, right?
I mean, you'll eat anything anyway, but...
Okay, thanks for the belly tap. That's encouraging. All right. I just needed somebody that was, I think probably the best thing that came out of it was for us to have totally different worldviews and for that to mesh together. Because I think I needed somebody who was outside of my realm, and for me to be outside of their realm, so we could really figure out how to take on the world.
Yeah.
So
I guess what's so hard for me to understand is that, why is it that you wanted such an outside perspective? Because usually you want a normal, your-sided perspective.
I don't think that's true.
No?
No.
Why?
I mean, I think some people do.
Yeah.
I think that's probably like what a lot of people think about Southern people. Is like, we have our own way and we want to stay there.
I look at some people that we live around, and
Mm-hmm.
they like being comfortable with the people they know. They like getting together with people they know.
Mm-hmm. I think everybody likes getting together with people they know, but I think there's a lot more of us that are open to learning about what's outside of the city limit, right? What's beyond the state line, what's beyond the border. Like, I think a lot more of us are interested in that than just, we don't want friends who all agree with us.
Yeah.
Like, we want different perspectives, because if everybody agrees with you, you don't really learn anything.
Yeah.
So it just kind of becomes this tunnel with no end.
Yeah.
So I'd like to take a boat out every now and then, you know.
I know, every now and then, but here's the thing. You married a boat that was like not even the same country, not even the same continent. Mm-hmm. Like a boat that was just wandering off in the middle of nowhere in the Mediterranean.
Yeah. You're more like a boat from space.
A boat from space. You know, maybe. Probably. But yeah, you took in a boat from space.
Well,
and
go big or go home, you know?
That's what I say about tattoos. And like, tattoos are different from a husband. Just saying. Anywho. Seriously, what you have chosen is so different than 98% of the population in your area. Mm-hmm. And I want to know why, or how, or what it is that the Lord had put on your heart to make you choose that. Me coming here, so now we live in Rogersville, and I go to the same church that he grew up in, and we have developed this life. But in the beginning of it, like choosing for me to come into it, that was all him. It had nothing to do with me. He had to choose me. Not that I didn't have to choose him. I already did. I already did choose him. But he chose me. But if we were to choose each other, it would blow up both of our life. Because if I chose him, then I would be disconnected from my Lebanese family. Mm-hmm. But if he were to choose me, that meant that I would have to possibly go to Rogersville, live with his family, live around his friends, live around his ex-girlfriends, and bump into them around Walmart because we only have one Walmart.
We still have one.
Just one. Aldi, if you're watching this, please come to Rogersville.
They're not going to.
Please come to Rogersville.
They won't do it.
Anywho, that's what I'm saying. It would have changed both of our lives in such a significant way to where if we were to choose this, we really had to make sure that it was what we wanted. And I think that's what led to us really considering and praying. And after we made that prayer and considered it and we chose each other, again, that was just a month in our relationship. We were dating for about 7 months before he proposed. And within those 7 months, like
7 years for her.
Here's the thing. Whenever we started dating, within like 2 weeks with us dating, I told him, if he doesn't believe or think that this will be able to last and lead to marriage, then I don't want to do it now. So basically, he had to know that he wanted to marry me within 2 weeks, or else I'm not doing it. What did you say, Samuel?
That's not a lot of time.
And I said, okay, I know that, but I didn't have the time to give you. I didn't have the time after everything I went through. I didn't have that heart to be able to just like give away. But something in me just said that it's okay. So I did. Even though he didn't say he loved me 2 months after I said it, even though whenever I was ready for his proposal, it took him 2 months after I was ready for his proposal. And I was going crazy, asking him questions, always getting ready, making sure I was like proposal ready. Do you know what it takes for a woman to be proposal ready for every date? No, because he proposed to me in his PJs.
They were not PJs.
Sweatpants.
Gym shorts.
Gym shorts and a sweatshirt.
I had to throw her off. She was too ready. Make it not obvious.
He did not, and it was a surprise. So, I appreciate that memory more than anything.
Somehow she found out that I did buy the ring.
And I really just wanted to marry you.
Calculated.
It was manipulation at its finest.
I don't think you manipulated me into marriage.
6 years later, now with a child, did I manipulate you into marriage?
No.
Anywho, we got married, and then that's when our real life started. And it wasn't the life that I always imagined that marriage would be like. Even us doing this, Samuel, I don't dream that it's just me. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for watching. This is part 1. And next week, we're going to be doing part 2, where we talk about how our relationship and how God has used all of our marriage and everything else to really exemplify Ephesians 5, where it talks about how wives should submit to their husbands and love their husbands, and how husbands should love their wives. So please stay with us and don't go anywhere, because we will be here. Bye, Samuel.
Bye.
See you next week. You gotta wave. Bye, guys.